Chag Gula of the Mittel Rebbe. There are two inyanim, two heroes from the Mittel Rebbe. The Rebbe chazer kama pomim. One is that the rotzim of the Mittel Rebbe is you get the younger light, alachas kama bachrim. That when they meet, feeling gas, zomereden yichudi lo yichud tato. And the second one is the lashon hayedua as a tzibla is al von der verin, chassidus al mechazer. So by having a bacher stand up and speak about das only das tachte in the cheder mechaber beide heroes. I'm sure Meir will do a great job. Bez Hashem, we hope that throughout the year that every Thursday night there should be a bacher vasret. And if you have an idea about yourself or somebody else, please come over and we'll arrange your slot. And bichlal Allah asid, make sure that there aren't too many simchas on Thursday nights, chasnis, l'chaims. Arrange it the other nights, Psuli Sazi and Revi bichlal. I'll call upon him. Meir, Revi Mahan Leil.
Let's know the top. It's very important.
You said.
I feel honored to be a part of this. So special. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Posach Eliyahu. It's a beautiful Maamer that we've been learning over the past month. I have no chedushim to share. That's the truth. I'm a pashta guy. I understand things very simply. And I figured I'll just be misakim a little bit what the Maamer is saying. No big chedushim. Be prepared to be confused and be like, hey, that's not what it says. When that happens, hold it in and come to me afterwards and explain to my wrong. Thank you. Please don't shame me in public. Okay. The kids say, yeah. So the Maamer starts with we bring down the Maamer of the Zayar and the Maamer of the Tziddik Rebbe on that Maamer of the Zayar about Posach Eliyahu. That Eliyahu opened up and he started talking about how the Eibishter is one, how the Eibishter creates that, so how the Eibishter is higher than everything. Yilok Antu Chaz, V'lo B'chushban, and Yilok Olon, Simo Kosimin, Beis Machshav Tfiso Achal, and then Antu Lapika Sasat Tikunim. And the Tziddik Rebbe basically breaks it down into the different madrigas leading up to Seder Shtalshus from Atzmos, and we have Atzmos or Atik, then you have Arich, and then Chachmad Arich, and then Chachma, and then you have Timsa Chachma, and then you have the Esesfiris Datzilus, which is going to be which is actually Shtalshus. And the Rebbe basically says that we'll close to break down into three parts. There is Hishtalshalus, which is the Esesfiris Datzilus, which is the way the Eibishter runs the world. We have Lavadim Hishtalshalus, which is all the Madrigas of Arif and Timsa Chachma, whatever that is. And then you have the Eibishter himself, Atik or Antu Chad Lo B'chushban, way higher than any of the being counted with all the other Madrigas that are mentioned. And then the Friedrich Rebbe the Maamer says that through the Avodah Mesiras Nefesh we bring the Antu Chad into the Esesfiris, which is through the Gila of the Maamer Teva, and through this is the Gila of the Maamer Teva and Teva. So Rebbe has a few questions on this, on the Maamer of the Friedrich Rebbe, which is classic with Rebbe, just analyze the Friedrich Rebbe's Maamer, and based on that build the whole Pilpul and Siddur. And Rebbe wants to know, why do we need to come to Antu Chad to be Megala the Nes, or to be Megala the Maamer Teva and Teva. Chayda, you be Megala the Antu Lo Koyla, and it's Gila of the Maamer B'Sheidish Tashlos. And that's what's needed to have the nest to break Teva, so to speak. So why is it that I need to come to Antu Chad? And second of all, one of the madrigas that Eliyahu mentioned was Antu Dakigas Asatikun. It's the Eibishter that makes the Esesfiris that runs the world. So again, it's not just why do I need to come to Antu Chad, to Atzmos itself, to have such a gilui, but the question is why do I need anything more than Teva? Teva itself is a gilui of the Eibishter. This is how the Eibishter chose to run the world. So we have that it's true that the Gilui of Kus and Teva is Nimshach through Kalim, but still we know that even the way it comes into the Tzimtzum, the Gilui of Kus, the Eibishter that's there, present in creating Teva, is still connected to the idea of Ein Sof, like we bring from Samachov, that the fact that everything is going constantly, we say that it's midias, Ein Sof, that itself is a Gilui of Ein Sof. So even the way the Eibishter is Nimshach and Slavish to create Teva, you have a certain Gilui of Ein Sof there, so why do I need anything more than that? So you could say that, so the Rebbe says that you could say that the problem with Teva is that you can't see that the Eibishter is running the world. It looks like it's just the world running by itself. And when there's a disruption in the order of the world, so to speak, so now I see that it's not running by itself because there's someone that's able to disrupt it. So the disruption of the state of the world is megal to me that it's the Eibishter running the world the whole time. But the thing is, in the Kovetz Maamer, he doesn't talk about when he mentions Nissim, he doesn't talk about the disruption of the world. He talks about the Gilui L'mayla Teva as a thing for itself, not as disrupting the order of the world, and then from that I see that Teva is from the Eibishter. So why do I need to come to the Gilui L'mayla Teva by itself? Why is it that a Ness is not just about disrupting the state of the world, a Ness is actually about being Megal of something different that's not there by itself? So we go into the Sherish of Teva and Ness. Teva comes from Shem Elikim, or in the brackets we talk about the way the Eibishter is Mechaya Ilum is V'derech Eslav, the Eibishter is invested in giving life to the world, and that's where Teva comes from, where the Eibishter is thinking about every single detail and how it needs to operate, as opposed to Shem Havaya Nissim come from Shem Havaya. And these two Shem and Shem Havaya Shem Elikim have to do with Das Alin Das Tachton. So big Shem Chassidus Das Alin Das Tachton about what's the perspective of the relationship of the world and the Eibishter. Do I say that we are, or the Eibishter, or Kos, or Ruchnius? Is it that we are we are what exists, and Ruchnius is some sort of abstract concept that we try to tap into and be battle towards? Or is it that the only true existence is Ruchnius, or the Kos, and the world that we live in is some sort of false reality, and it's not really there at all? That would be Das Alin Das Tachton. Either we say L'mata Yesh L'mayla Ayin, that we're here, that we know, we could see, we feel ourselves, and there's some sort of abstract thing out there called Ruchnius that we try to reach and try to aspire to understand stuff. L'mayla Ayin, it's beyond us. Or you have L'mayla Yesh, that no, the true reality is what's Ruchnius, what's Eliyahu, and L'mata Ayin, this is just a false perception. And the Rebbe says how so the Shem Havaya Elikim, Nes V'Teva, they're both expressions of these concepts that's on this Tachton. Nes and Shem Havaya, the Eibishter not invested, the Eibishter is just creating the world by itself, kind of, it just happens by itself. And the idea of Nes, they're both expressions of Das Elohim, where the Eibishter, it's not about the world, we're not invested at all, and also the Nes. The Nes is the idea that we're not running the world based on the world's rules, so to speak. We're not running the world based on how I would think the world should operate. It's the Eibishter is going to do the way he wants today. So that's Elohim. That the only true existence, really, the only true reality is the way it is by the Eibishter, as opposed to in Das Tachton and Shem Elikim, where Shem Elikim is Mislavish. So that's the idea of Das Tachton, where the world is actually real existence, and there's something higher than the world. The Eibishter is looking at the world and says, okay, there's a real Yasher, and I have to work with it. And also the Teva is that the world is running based on what appears to be the rules of the world, so okay, that's a real thing. And it's explained all over Kislev about these two ideas of Das Alin and Das Tachton, and we say that they're both true days. They're both 100% true. They both come from the Arn and Sof. That in Arn and Sof we have two parts of Arn and Sof, so to speak. We have the way Arn and Sof is higher than anything, and anywhere you're going to go, the Eibishter is higher than that. And you have the way Arn and Sof is on top of this, that to the lowest things, the lowest places, also there's the Eibishter. And these two ideas of Arn and Sof are what lead to Das Alin Das Tachton. You have Arn and Sof, L'mayla Adin Kes, that wherever you're going to go, that's still not the Eibishter. The Eibishter is way deeper and higher and beyond that. And the Eibishter is like hiding himself. The Eibishter is not present in anything that you'll ever tap onto at all. So that's what leads to the perception of that where we are, this is real. And everything else is just beyond us. It's something we can never ever reach. As opposed to the idea of the Eibishter is in everything. The Eibishter is the Matmat and Tachlis, and the lowest places that the Eibishter is also. So that creates a perspective of the world. It's all just expressions of the Eibishter choosing to express himself in that place. So just like we asked before on Nes and Teva, why do I need a Gilui of Maamer Teva in Teva? So there was going to ask also here on Das Alin Das Tachton. But here the questions are going to be a little bit more. The Rebbe is basically asking, what do you mean that they're both true? They're kind of they're complete opposites. It's the way we're understanding this on Das Tachton until now is that meaning what it means they're both true is that there is a real yesh, we are a real yesh, and the Eibishter is also a real yesh. And there's one perspective is that I could ignore the real yesh of the mata, that's called das elyon, that I just ignore the fact that there's a real yesh down there, and we're going to just come from a perspective of that the only real yesh is the Eibishter, and what's down there we're just ignoring. Or there's the perspective of that I'm going to ignore the real yesh of the Eibishter, that I'm the real yesh, and I'm ignoring, and it's I can't reach it, and I'm just ignoring it, kind of. They're both true, but they're both also, they're both true on one hand, but at the same time, they're also both negating the other option. Das Elyon and Das Tachton are stated to each other. They can't work together at all. By definition, Das Elyon is saying that it could be there's a yesh down there, but I'm ignoring it. And Das Tachton is saying it could be that the Eibishter is the real Matthias, but I'm ignoring that. I'm choosing to be blind. And I'm just focusing myself, and I'm going to try to reach something higher. So, the way that Rebbe asks it is that l'cheiro, Das Tachton, what we're saying is that Das Tachton and Das Elyon are both true. So Das Tachton, so the shlemus of Das Tachton shouldn't be a gilui of Das Elyon. It should be Migal that Das Tachton is also from the Eibishter. Why does that need to bring out some sort of like negating Das Tachton in order to make a shlemus from Das Tachton? Why can't they say that Das Tachton is good by itself? It's also an expression of the Eibishter. And then on the other hand, also on the other side, why if Das Tachton is not a true, it's just ignoring the Eibishter's existence. You're saying, no, yes, am I lying? We don't know what's up there. It's too far for us. You're just ignoring what's happening up there. It's not a real data. It's not a real authentic opinion. It's just being blind to the truth. So the Rebbe goes back to the Nes and Teva sugya to be able to solve all these problems. The Rebbe goes back to the sugya of Teva. What is Teva? And once we understand what Teva is and where the bittul in Teva is and where the seder of Teva and this that we feel ourselves to be, this that the world feels itself to be a real existence and that its mode of operating is legit. Where that comes from, and when we understand where that comes from, we understand that that's something that's happening in our stir b'chal, that's in Teva and Stira, and it really all comes from one place. Not just that they both come from the Eibishter, but it actually comes from one. It's all the same Mekubah, really, both of them. So then it goes into how Teva. We have one Pirush of Teva that's just a made-up word to try to just label just the world running. It's the Pirush of the Chacham Tzvi. He said that just they needed to come up with a word to describe the world operating on a daily basis. The Eibishter is operating the world. This is how the Eibishter runs the world, and we just called it Teva. Another version of Teva is that it's a matbeya. It's a certain image, so to speak, that the Eibishter has that the Eibishter puts in the world, and every item has its image, its shape, its form. And that's the idea of the chayis of the chayis of the Nivraim, the nefesh, their tzura, their form, the way the spirit that they have, what they give off, so to speak. Then there is teva, just what it says in Tanya, that's Maamer tamadas. Anything that we don't understand what's going on, which is that's misabos of Nivraim. And when we bring down from different Maamerim that the second two Pirushim of Teva have to do with the idea, the word Teva and Moshe Kodesh. Obviously, Kodesh, everything can have myriads of different meanings and sharashim and the way you mix it around. So the word Teva also has to do with the word Tubu, that it's sunken in and you can't see it, it's hidden, so to speak. So the second two Pirushim of Teva, that it's the Chayis of the Ki in the Nivraim, or it's the way the Eibishter doesn't have a Nivraim. So those two are both hidden from a person or any Nivra. Sai is not margish the Chayis of the Ki. That's him, and he's also not margish the fact that the Eibishter is Mahavahim. He feels like he's his own independent existence. But the truth is, that it mentions that there's a difference between the way it's hidden. That by the Chayis of the Ki, a person feels alive. He feels that there's a Chayis. He feels that he has, every person, every Nivra, every thing, you could see that there's a chayis, that there's a certain spirit, there's a certain energy that every single thing gives off. And that energy is expressed through its physical shape, a lot of times through its physical form, but there's an energy that every single thing has. And that you can tell. You just don't know, it's not apparent that it's from the Eibishter. So it's because it's so invested, because the Eibishter took his chayis and he invested in the Nivraim so much, so you can't see that the chayis is Eliyahu. You think the chayis is the Eibishter, you think that it's just chayis by itself somehow, but you can tell that the chayis is there. As opposed to the fact that Eibishter is mahavos, that's something that's not only you can't see because it's investing you. It's because it's so distant. Because the Eibishter, to be Mahava Yesh, he's always talk about Yesh Ma'ayin, is that through the Ayin being the sound, that's how the Yesh comes into existence. Because the Eibishter removed himself so much, and so much has nothing to do with the Yesh Lamata. That's why we don't realize the Ayin that's above us. We're not margish the Ayin. So the bittul of these havos comes from the Eibishter's halem, so to speak, and the bittul of the chayis really comes from our own, or just the Eibishter's investment in us. And the Eibishter is so invested in us that it makes us feel like we're a legitimate thing. And then we talk about, so where does the chayis of a person come from, of a nivram come from? Where does his havos come from? So we have that when we talk about creating the world, we have in certain places it talks about culture. Kovetz, also in some places it says so it's explained in Chassidus that just like we were talking before about in Teva, we have the just the essence fact that the thing exists, and you have the spirit and energy that it gives off and that it has. So too in the way the Eibishter creates it, it breaks down to those two things. You have the way the Eibishter creates the world through dibur, which is totally removed from the person. So that's where the Eibishter is Mahav the world, and that creates them as independent entities. And you have through Kayach HaRatzin that creates the form and the shape and the side the Gashmi, side the Tzir Gashmi, and side the Tzir Rufni, the Nefesh of everything that's there in the world. So why do we have to have both? Because if the world would be created just through Dibur, it would be just the Hisavus, and the Hisavus would create all the different details and aspects of the world, then it would be so, just like we were saying before, how it's by definition independent, because the fact that you don't see the Alikus in Hisavus is not because the Eibishter is invested in you at all, it's because the Eibishter is so removed. So anything that's going to come from that place, you're going to feel as an independent existence. You're going to feel completely your own thing. So the world would never be able to come back to the Eibishter, it would feel as an independent Yesh forever. As opposed to if it would be only mitzad the dasim, mitzad the chayis of the key, that it's true that there is a certain helen there, in a certain amount where you don't see the alikus and you just feel your own energy, and you feel like you're nefesh, you feel like you're a real thing. You don't see that it's alikus necessarily, but you do feel the energy, and that nefesh that's in everything is what gives it the ability to become bottled, to reach higher than itself, and to think a little deeper and be like, and to recognize that where is this energy coming from? You think about it for a second, you realize that it's not independent, it comes from somewhere, and it comes to the Eibishter. So the Hisabus by itself creates the Metzias Yesh of a person, and the Chayis, or the Tzur of the Nivraim, is what gives us the Bittul in Nivraim. So going back to before about Das Elyon, Das Taftin, if you remember, Das Elyon is where the Eibishter is not Nislavish, right? It's the Hisabus. And Das Tachtin is where the Eibishter is Nishlavish. So Das Elyon, which is what gives you, which L'chayda is the place where the Nivraim are bottled with Tachlis, is where the Hisavos is. The Eibishter is so negating existence that that's where the Hisavos comes from. And Das Tachtin, which is where the Eibishter is Nishlavish Nivraim, which in Das Tachtin, Das Elyon, that's where the Nivraim have the Metzias. By us, that's where our Chayes and our Tzur comes from, which gives us our Bittul. So now we have something very funny that, well, in the lashon of Das Elyon, Das Tachtin, his habus is a place of bittul, and his slapshus and chayis is a place of yesh. In the context of us as our mitzias and our reality, chaymer and tzura, our hisavos is the place of our yesh, and our tzura and our nefesh is the place of our bittul. So based on this, the Rebbe comes to how, well, in Das Tachtin, what's the problem? Das Tachtin is where the Eibishter is Slavish, and the Eibishter is invested, and he gives a chayis to every single thing according to its unique tchunas. So, that means he's giving credence to the Metzias of the Yesh in this world, right? He's reckoning zich with the Metzias that's here. But when I think about it for a second, I realize that, that chayis of the key in me is my place of bittul. That's not my place of Yesh. That's my place of bittul. So it means that this Eibishter is reckoning zich with the world. It's not because the world is actually Metzias. Mitzad this aspect of the chayis of the key that's in the world, the way it is in the world, it's a place of bittul, not a place of Metzias. Which means that this is the Eibishter. So what's the Eibishter reckoning zich with? davar al-batal. Mitzad Eibster, he's saying it's a yesh, and I'm going to come down on your terms and work with you. But mitzad, that thing that he's coming to work with, in that place where they're meeting, the nifra is completely batal. That's the nefesh and the chayes laki. That gives him a place of bittul. So based on this, it says that the truth is das tachten. There's basically the says that there's two ways to look at das tachten. Das tachten is either we would have learned das tachten that they're complete opposites, right? That's what we're learning at the beginning of the Maamer. Das tachten and das tachten are completely opposite. Why? Because das tachten is saying that there is a real yesh lamata, and das tachten is saying there's a real yesh lamayla, and you can basically choose to ignore either one. That's the only two. That's the two days that are true is that both yeshes are true. There's a real yesh lamata, there's a real yesh lamayla. That's tachten, that's tachten. They're both true. And what's the difference? That's tachten. Which one am I going to focus on? Which one am I ignoring? Das Ayin is ignoring the yesh lamata, and das tachten is ignoring the yesh lamayla. But now we're finding out that there is no such thing as a yesh lamata. The yesh lamata, the place where in das tachten that there's a yesh lamata in the yesh, it's a place of bittul. So it doesn't actually have an independent existence by itself. So now we have to completely rethink what's das tachten das Ayin. It's not anymore that there's two real yeshes and which one am I ignore. It's that there's two ayins kind of, and then which one am I distant from, so to speak. That's going to be really where it comes down to. So das tachten now is not anymore that the Nivraim are real Messias, but it's just another form of it's because the Eibster wanted that there should be this perspective that Lamayla should be ayin. So in order for that to happen, so there's a yesh lamata. It's not that there's a real yesh lamata. And the same thing the other way around, I guess. It's not really what they're ever discussed so much here, but the way also the other way around, that it's not about the Lamayla being like such a yesh. I think that's going to be the next line, but it's more that we want to be negating lamata, and in that perspective we make whatever that means. Okay, fine. But the point is that now in das tachten is not anymore a place where the lamata is actually yesh. Das tachten is now, in our new understanding of what das tachten is actually now just another form of the Eibush. It's the way the Eibush chose to be Megala Erin itself. Also before we said a Kanshal Lamad and Ketz. But because of the reality of Lamad and Ketz, we understood that Lamata is real yesh. Now understand Lamata is not a real yesh ever. The truth of das tachten is that the Eibush is taka and ayin. That's the truth of that, if you can say that. That's the truth of das tachten. And it's true that the Eibush wanted it to be that way. So therefore there's a yesh Lamata. Therefore, what I need to be Megala, the truth of das tachten, is not by being Megala that the yesh is really from the Eibush the whole time. I need to be Megala is that this whole thing comes from the Eibush. How do I do that? Because now that's tachten and that's not really so opposite anymore. They're really coming from the same place. That's the Eibush choosing to express himself in a certain way, either that as an ayin or as a yesh kind of. And so all I need is for das tachten and das ayin to come together, to work together, which is the nisim that are coming to teva. And once das tachten and das ayin come together, now I see how even das. So that's why the shlemus of das tachten is by working together with das ayin. The shlemus of teva is when it has a nest, not because the nest is disrupting teva. Because I'm being megal the whole time. The nest and teva are not opposites. They're both just forms of the Eibush that are expressing himself in this world. Then in the last sif, the Rebbe mentions how the truth is this is all close. If Maamer and the Kislev and Tachlis were both equal expressions of the Eibush, but there are also two different things. There's the way the Eibush is the Maamer and the Kislev, and the way the Eibush is the Maamer and Tachlis. And therefore, the real way for there to be the chibra of both of them together is only through realizing that they both come from Achnos. The Eibush himself chose to have a Maamer and Kislev, chose to have a Maamer and Tachlis, and from there comes das tachten das ayin. And therefore, in order to have the Giluk of Maamer Teva and Teva, I have to come to the Antuchad. Going back to the first question of Maamer, I have to come to the Antuchad, Achnos Alain, which basically is what gives both of them anything that they either have. Sai, das ayin, sai das tachten, sai Maamer and Kislev and Tachlis, and that happens through Nisim, the Lubush and Teva, and through that we're able to the Giluk of Achnos itself. Shlemos is the difference of Kanim.